Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another Monday. This is the DojoLIVE recap show. I'm Tulio Sergusa, broadcasting from Southern California, joined by Kim Lantis in Hermosillo, Mexico, and Carlos Ponce in Cuernavaca, Mexico. Welcome back, guys. Here we go. Let's get it.
Let's do it. Happy Monday, everyone.
Yes, happy Monday. We took a little bit of a break last week in terms of live interviews, and so we rebroadcasted a few goodies, oldies but goodies, and we're going to recap them. Actually, these were shows that we had before we started doing the recap show, so they deserve a recap. There we go. So today's Monday, May 24th, 2021, for those listening on the podcast. We had 3 shows last week that we rebroadcast. We had Accelerate Drugs and Medical Devices Development, the Digital Revolution with Luca Emili, who's the CEO of In Silico Trails. We also then had Using Tech to Grow by Doing Good with Ben Block, who's the founder of Goes Around. And Now What? Internet in the 2020s with Vince Cerf, who is the founder of TCP/IP, the thing that makes the internet work, and the chief internet evangelist at Google.
How could we forget that one?
How can we forget the architect, right? So what I loved about the interview with Vint was the uncanny resemblance he has to the architect on The Matrix, and how he was on Colbert on that show, and they made a whole skit around this. So he doesn't deny it, and he doesn't know whether they actually based the architect on him, but there's an uncanny resemblance. In any case, it was interesting to see the journey of the internet. Like, we sort of take it for granted, like we have it, everybody uses it, but early in the day, like, email was like a big deal. I remember working with Vint 25 plus years ago, and we were heavy users of email at the time. And when I went to companies that didn't use email, they were like, "What do you mean you don't use email?" They're like, "What is email?" And so some early adopters have seen the internet in early days and seen it evolve. Some later adopters have seen it, what it can do in terms of e-commerce and so on. But there's still only like half the planet that has internet, which is, mind-blowing. Like, we live in a modernized society, and we take it for granted that everyone has got the internet, but there's like half the world that doesn't have it. So there's a lot of people who don't have access to the same kind of information flow that we do. But oddly enough, even though there's only half the planet that has it, it's intergalactic already. Like, there's internet on Mars now. I think China landed on Mars recently, and they got video links and content going back and forth. That's possible through the internet. So I really enjoyed the conversation with Vin, the history of the internet, where it's going, and how much work there still needs to be done to make it available to everybody. What did you guys think? What about the other shows?
I still remember the one with In Silico Trials, and I couldn't help it because, for personal reasons that you all already know, I've been digging a little bit onto what's out there in terms of medicine and health and all that. And when I was remembering this conversation we had with Luca Emil, the CEO, and actually it's this has been like a pattern we've seen across the multiple conversations we've had on DojoLIVE, how interesting it is for folks who may or may not have a technical background to get into tech. And that we've seen a lot especially in the health world. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? But I think that's the pattern that we've seen is, it doesn't matter if you're not a tech expert, you can always get into tech, provided you have the right team, and then you do your part, and providing the knowledge base it is required to get into tech, or even if you don't assemble your team, you can actually learn yourself. But that's going to be like a separate thing. Anyway, the bottom line is, I think it's interesting to see how people broaden the professionals in the health tech space, medical doctors and the like, how they get into tech even though that they're not tech experts. So that's like the one thing that you can even apply to a number of other areas, not just health or not just medicine, but others as well. So that's what definitely something worth reminding remembering too.
Yeah, and I think going back, something that can sort of bring both of these themes together from last week, the rise of the internet, the impact of that, health, and then that brings in the third rebroadcast, which was with Ben Block of Goes Around. And so what they're doing is basically providing networking for charitable causes. And talking, I think that's just mind-blowing of how we can gather from all over the world to help one another out and sort of rally behind a cause, create a community around a cause, how we can even utilize that as companies to help improve, I think, our culture, as well as just our community within companies, right? One of the things that Roberto Martinez, our CEO here at Ancora Mexico, said today was, culture isn't about the perks. It's about living out your values. And Goes Around will be one of those tools that can help a company live out their values. And so I think as we live out our values, as a lot of what we talk about on the show, there's this altruistic root, but then also out of that altruism, you get something back, right? I think that's just the story of life. The more you give, the more you receive, and how the internet and technology help make that a possibility on a global scale, an intergalactic scale, potentially, is pretty mind-blowing. And I think for me, that was the takeaway from last week.
I cannot take away my mind from this thing that Tulio has repeated several times in a very timely manner, this intergalactic internet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it makes me think of that Beastie Boy song. Galactic, but yeah, we're intergalactic.
Well, I hope
we didn't just age ourselves that at all.
There are space probes way out there.
Tulio, Kim, I mean, I'm all for intergalactic as long as it contributes to start making a little bit more sense in
Another
this
observation
world, right?
from these rebroadcasts, I have to say, is that the COVID-15 is real, right? I would say throwback to the freshman 15 of our college days. I can look back at all these rebroadcasted videos and I'm like, we're all got a little more cheek happening this year.
Oh yeah. Interplanetary, that's definitely what's going on right now. So look, to build on your comment earlier, Carlos, about people that are not in tech but have domain expertise, I think it just goes to show that the hurdle of getting into tech have been lower, right? It's so much easier today to build solutions, to build applications. There's so many tools that enable you to do it faster and cheaper, that there's no excuse. If you've got a great idea and you're a practitioner, and in your industry not much has been digitized yet, or there's opportunity to digitize, you're sitting on a gold mine of opportunity. Finding a good co-founding CTO that knows tech is the key to making that a reality. But it just goes to show how much technology has advanced, that it's become accessible even to non-technically inclined people to build value, to create value.
Yeah.
All right,
There's
so
no excuse and inexcusable in the sense that that's the direction it has to head, whether we like it or not. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
All right, so what do we got coming up this week, Carlos?
Yeah, we got 2 shows scheduled, Tulio. One on Wednesday, and which is the one with Larry Rosenzweig, the co-founder and CEO of Sequence, with a C. And the topic is the rise of the creator economy. And then on Thursday, the one with Julian Winkle, the CEO of Athena, the topic is going to be the future of prospecting. How will AI find your ICP for you? This is all happening right here on Dojo Live at 12 p.m. Pacific. So stay tuned, folks, and don't miss. And of course, don't miss the next recap on Monday.
Yeah,
next Monday.
Looking forward to it. We'll have a rebroadcast tomorrow as well. And all the social media platforms have this cool feature. We create a container and there's a little reminder button. So if you see it posted somewhere, just say to remind me.
Right.
You'll be able to get it when it goes live. Thanks for joining us. See you soon.
See you soon.